Restaurant Operator Podcast. I'm Mandy Detwiler, editor of Pizza Marketplace and QSRweb, and I'm here today with Amanda Potts, Vice President of Marketing and Innovation for A&W Restaurants. Amanda, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're just going to chat a little bit about your role at A&W and kind of where the company's going in the next few years. So with over 20 years in marketing and experience across diverse industries, so you worked for Valvoline and Fazoli's, what initially drew you to the restaurant sector and specifically to A&W?
Yeah. So I graduated from college and got my dream job working for an agency, working for Fazoli's. And I thought, this is it. I've made it, right? And so I started working on the agency side, eventually made my way over to the brand side after a couple years, and then left the industry for about 7 years, honestly, and worked in automotive, which was very interesting. I learned a ton. I learned a ton about franchisees, about that relationship. I learned how to read an FDD at that time. But I saw, there was an opening here at A&W, and I was like, I'd always thought, man, if I could get back into restaurants, because I consider myself a foodie. I love food. I love everything. I still kept up with all the industry news in restaurants. And so I saw this opportunity and thought, man, what a great chance to get back into restaurants in a legacy brand, a brand that's so well loved. I hope that you all are familiar with the brand. We have a lot of raving fans out in the marketplace that just love A&W and have strong memories of childhood and what their experience was like with their grandparents. So anyway, I saw an opportunity to come back to restaurants, and I thought, man, this would be a great experience. So here I am, 2 months in.
So what are some of the unique challenges and opportunities that you've observed transitioning from franchise marketing and automotive to the restaurant world?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just been getting back into that way of doing business, right? The restaurant industry and the restaurant business is built around a yearly calendar. You're just constantly thinking about, we're thinking about next year, right? We're at the beginning of 2025, or kind of at the beginning of 2025. We're thinking about 2026, middle of 2026. And so just reacclimating myself to that working ahead so far in advance, I've had to get used to that. But honestly, the business, there's been a lot of advances, a lot of changes since I've been gone, but the business itself is the same, right? You're just trying to provide a great experience and hope that customers come back and see you.
So as Vice President of Marketing and Innovation for A&W, what does a typical day look like for you? What kind of projects are you working on? You said you're working in the middle of, without giving any big trade secrets away, what are you working on right now?
Yeah, a lot of our work, like I said, is around what the calendar is going to look like for next year. So we're talking about what is that LTO? What is the data telling us? What do consumers want to see? What are the trends that are in the marketplace right now? Of course, we look at competitors. What are they doing? In planning for that, we also have we are almost primarily 100% primarily franchise owned. So a lot of the day is spent making sure our franchisees are kept in the loop and that we're telling them things, that we're bringing them along the process.
What are some of the core marketing philosophies or principles that guide A&W's current strategies?
Yeah, so just A&W at a high level, our kind of 3 guiding principles are all around driving same-store sales, right? Just like everybody else, supporting profitable new stores. And then we also have a big initiative around one team inclusion and making sure that all of our team members feel welcome and that they can come and bring their true authentic selves to the store and to the corporate office. And so that's kind of our guiding principles. But from a marketing perspective, we want to be known as a restaurant brand that has quality that floats above the rest, right? And so a lot of the day I spend about thinking how are we telling our customers about our great product? Because we have a phenomenal product. Our cheese curds, I want to talk about those. Our great burgers, our hand breaded chicken tenders, all great products, and something that like we've really got to make sure consumers are aware that these products are in our restaurants. And so a lot of the work that we're doing is around that.
Okay. Now, I know that A&W considers itself unique in the QSR sector. How does A&W approach brand building and maintaining that unique identity in a competitive restaurant market that we're seeing today?
Yeah. So good news is we have great brand awareness, right? Whether you think about root beer or you think about the restaurant, the A&W brand has been around since 1919, and so we've got a great affinity for the brand. So a lot of our brand building is around. We do media. We are kicking off our media this week, and it'll run for 6 months, and we'll do a part of it is around the LTO and what we're currently doing in the restaurant. But the other part of that media is around that great experience that you have. And look, we call it nostalgia, right? It's nostalgia, but it's new, and we're trying to incorporate that into everything we do so that people know if you want to come to A&W, you're going to have a great experience, and you're going to have great food, and you're going to have those great food memories that you remember. But we're also new, and we have new and innovative things going on.
So we understand the marketing part of your title. What about the innovation part? Can you share some recent innovation marketing campaigns or initiatives that A&W has implemented?
Yeah. So innovation is one of the reasons why I took the job, because like I said, I kept up with all the innovation going on in the industry. And so right now, in terms of food and marketing innovation, we just launched our double barbecue bacon crunch burger and our new island cream free. So those are in restaurants now. And again, we want to make sure customers know that we have the new thing, but also the thing you'll remember. So we're always going to talk about that frosty root beer. But in terms of marketing innovation, I came from a place where, we were very driven from the automotive industry, trying to capture that customer when they're thinking about an oil change. And so I've tried to bring some of those strategies over, thinking about that customer that's hungry right now and is out there thinking about, where can I get my next meal? How can I get my next meal delivered to me? And so we're really trying to implement some things where we can capture that customer right in that moment when they're thinking about their next meal.
What about customer feedback? How does A&W gather customer feedback and insights to inform its marketing and innovation efforts so that you guys know that what you're doing is being received well by that population that loves you so much?
Yes. So we use a couple different tools that will help us not only just quickly go out and find some different things, like let's say dill pickles, right? Dill pickles, it seems like they're making a huge comeback. So we have a tool that we use to go out and say, okay, what about dill pickles? What about this other thing? How are consumers feeling about those? And then that same tool, we can use that same tool and go out and say, okay, well, we want to be more specific and say, what are customers feeling about? What if we did this? What would our customers think about this? And so we use that tool in both of those ways, like try to keep up with the trends. But then when we get, as we refine the idea, we go back out and say, how do A&W customers feel about this? How do we think this particular LTO with this title or this product description would do in the current marketplace with our current customers? Would it bring in new customers if you haven't been in a while? So that's the kind of technology and data that we're using. And we also, listen to what customers are saying out online. And so we also have a platform that helps us look to see what customers are saying, what trends are popping with our customers. And so we'll use that to influence our decisions as well.
Now, you mentioned new customers. What about those repeat customers? What strategies does A&W employ to drive customer loyalty and repeat business into the restaurants?
Yeah, so our main thing that we have is something we call Mug Club, and that's our SMS and email club. And restaurants can use that. We can send out a big national campaign, or we can use that to send to our local restaurants. Or local restaurants can say, hey, I'm having a cruise night on Wednesday night. I would love to tell my customers in my area about those things. So we can talk about LTOs, local store marketing, et cetera. That's what we use to kind of talk to those current customers.
Okay. And marketing challenges. What are you seeing out there in the industry, having, kind of taken over this role in the last 2 months? What are you seeing that are some of the biggest marketing challenges right now that the restaurant industry is facing?
Yeah, well, I mean, not a specific to marketing challenge, but just rising food costs and what's going on in the industry. I know everyone's talking about it. We fortunately have a great partnership with RSCS, who helps us go out and find the products that we want to have in our restaurants. Of course, competition is always something that's in the back of our minds, and thinking about what the competition is doing and making sure that we're not necessarily adjusting our strategy to fit theirs, but we like to stay abreast of what they're doing. And then keeping up with changing consumer preferences, right? When I left the restaurant industry 7 years ago, it was a very different time. It was pre-COVID. And so the implementation of kiosks and tableside ordering and online ordering, like those are things I think we're doing a great job of keeping up with, but just completely different than when I left the restaurant industry.
What about the rise of third-party delivery services? How has that affected the industry and affected A&W specifically?
Yeah, we've definitely had to adapt, but we fully embraced third-party delivery. It's definitely integrated into our POS and what we're doing from an online. And we want to be there. Like I said, we want to be there when that customer decides that they're hungry. We want to be right there, and so we are definitely adapting to the changing landscape of digital and mobile.
Sure. With increasing consumer focus on value and affordability, we're seeing these value meals and people playing that game right now. Yep. How does A&W balance brand perception with pricing strategies to keep up with those other companies?
Yeah. So here we say that quality is our long-term value proposition. So we want to make sure, we just looked at some data that said, what do consumers consider, when we say value, what do consumers consider value? And it wasn't necessarily a low price. It was actually fourth on the list. Above price or low price was quality, taste, and something else. So like we are thinking about value. That's something that we are always thinking about. But for us, knowing that consumers really value like that quality product is something that we really pride ourselves in.
Sure. Sustainability. How important is that to A&W?
Yeah, I will say when we just visited, so we did some restaurant visits last week, and we were able to go and visit our cheese curd provider there, Ellsworth Creamery. They're located in Ellsworth, Wisconsin, and they're a co-op of dairy farmers who've come together. They've been in business longer than A&W, if you can believe it, since 1910. And so whenever we can, they're a great example of whenever we can, we try to source locally, and it's a great quality story that we need to be telling in our restaurants for sure.
And cheese curds are big for you guys. I mean, that's not something you see everywhere.
No, that's right. And our cheese curds, if you haven't had them, they are the best, and they are made in a great environment with happy cows, and they are a standout. So that's another example of where cheese curds, we're kind of known for that, but what else can we do with cheese curds, right? So it's not just it's always just a cheese curd, right? We've had sriracha cheese curds. We're going to have a different new LTO cheese curd later on this year that I think people will be really excited about. But it's about taking that core product and then doing something a little different with it.
What emerging marketing trends, are you really excited about right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think just the role of digital and the role of mobile in our business, because again, I think it was a different landscape 7 years ago when I was in the restaurant industry, completely different landscape. And this idea that customers, have a little computer right in the palm of their hands, and they can order whenever they want. I think that, that mobile ordering and digital and being able to know so much about our customers, right? I mentioned that tool that we used previously. If I had had that 7 years ago, or if I had had that in my previous role, access to that same kind of data, man, it would have been like business changing.
Sure. How do you see the role of marketing and innovation evolving within the restaurant industry over the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, AI, and I know everybody talks about AI, but I think that really is, whether it's whether we're using AI to just make the ordering process more efficient, to get to know our customers more, to kind of know what their habits are, their behaviors are. I think just using AI is probably the biggest one, and
Sure.
that's top of mind right now because it's everywhere. I was listening to a podcast this morning about the use of AI in restaurants. So,
what advice would you give to independent restaurant operators who are looking to elevate their own marketing efforts, but they don't have as big a budget as A&W might have? They've got a small budget. What do you do with that small amount?
Right. This is not going to be new news for anybody, but some of our best performing restaurants are totally ingrained in their local community, right? They get their local community, they know their neighbors, they know the schools, they know the sports teams, etc. If you don't have a big budget and you're looking to do something, around your restaurant, I would say become a member of that community, get to know the people in your community, and I think that goes a long way.
I think that's something A&W does really well.
Yeah.
Your leaders in the community, you support ball teams, you take food to schools.
Yeah.
I think that's great that A&W really is a part of that community. But what's one key takeaway that you hope restaurant operators listening to our podcast will implement in their own businesses?
Yeah, something that I learned a long time ago was just because you're in the business every day, don't assume that you are your customer, right? You've got to listen to your customer, and that's why I'm so excited about all the great tools we have for finding out more about our customers. But I will say that I think a lot of business people, myself included, think, well, I'm in this space every day. I know what's best, but I think that's the big takeaway for me is I am not the customer. I need to step back and say, what does our customer really want?
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Please make me look good.
We'll make you look fabulous. That'll do it for this episode of the Restaurant Operator Podcast, and we'll catch you next time.